So I choose to believe that while we forget it, because life becomes very mundane and routine and uncomfortable and painful, that life itself is a miracle. And that if we really just stop and look around and ask the right questions and listen for the right answers, that we recognize that miracles are all around us, everywhere, everywhere. I can't even explain how we able to do this, Kristen. You're in Illinois, I'm in Trinidad. How we able to have a conversation? Okay, Wi-Fi, all right, what's Wi-Fi? Internet, what's internet? How does that happen, right? So that's my take on miracles. But sometimes we forget. And, we were having a chat before and I have no problem being really open and vulnerable. Yesterday, I forgot. Yesterday for me was a tough day and I forgot. And I had to remember this very same story that I'm going to tell you now. And it's about when a relationship of mine ended with a very dear friend. We dated for about 3.5 years. This story is also in the book, not to plug in the book, but it's like, and I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. And there was a day when I just had enough. Not like I was going to take my life or anything. I was just done. I was done with life. So I jumped in my car. I drove to this little cove beach called Macquarie. And I was going to do a sunset yoga practice at the seaside, take a swim, and try whatever I could do to wash things off a little bit. And, when I walked down the stairs onto this pebbly beach, and there was this two ladies talking with a little girl. And one of the ladies I recognized, she was local, long dreadlocks. And the other lady and little girl, I assumed were tourists because they just didn't look local. Sure, we have light-skinned locals, but they just didn't look local. So I went in I waved and I said hi and I tried my best to smile. I was really super down. And I went in the lifeguard hut and I began to practice. And I put on some Krishna Das, I put on my mat, and this lifeguard booth, maybe it's about 10 feet square, right? So my yoga mat is 6 feet, so it's kind of tight, right? So I'm practicing, and maybe about 10 minutes in, for anyone familiar, I come into like upward facing dog, right? With pressing through my hands, my chest lifted. And in front of me stood this little girl out of nowhere, same little girl. And she had the bluest eyes ever. And this story could be really long, but I'm going to try not to drag it on too long. So I went back to my practice, and because I wasn't sure what was happening, right? But she didn't seem startled, so I wasn't startled. And I went back to my practice, continued practicing to down with whatever. And she just started walking around me in circles, and circles, and circles, and circles. And then she finally took a seat in the corner of the lifeguard hut, like, so literally like 3 feet off my mat. And she just sat there and she looked at me practice yoga. And I came down and I invited her to come and sit with me, and she didn't budge. So I said, okay, I went back to my practice. Then sometime later, maybe another 10 minutes, whatever, I heard his footsteps coming, and it's your mom. And she signals her mom to come and sit beside her. So now this woman and this little girl are sitting in the lifeguard booth looking at me do yoga. Not awkward at all, right? So so then finally I say, well, her mom is here. She maybe is more comfortable, confident. So I come down to sit, to call them both onto my mat. And they both start coming onto my mat. So we all sit there in meditation, eyes closed. No one had said a word. And I remember opening one eye, like just to make sure this was really happening. And maybe another 10 minutes or however long, her mom said something in French eventually after sitting there for some time. And I imagine it was like, it's time to go. That's the energy I got from whatever she said. So they get up, they wave goodbye, and they walk out the lifeguard booth. And the lifeguard booth has 2 flights of stairs, right? So back in downward dog now. I go back to my practice and I could actually see them walking downstairs. And as they hit his sand at the bottom of the second flight of stairs, the little girl pulls a hand out of her mom's hand and she walks back up the staircase. And I'm in downward dog and I see her coming and I'm like, what's going on? And next thing I know, she disappears around the flight of stairs for a moment. And next thing I know, there are these 2 feet standing underneath me. And she puts one hand on my back, my lower back, and she just leans over and she gives me a kiss right on my ribcage. And then she leaves. She walks away. And just so people who are on the video, just so I made sure I would never doubt that experience, I had it tattooed, a symbol of that tattooed on the side of my ribcage, because I knew that I would doubt that that had ever happened. Well, I had to make sure that I never forgot how that went down. More importantly, how it made me feel. Because you know, name of that story in the book, I think, is Kiss of Faith. And to me, that little girl was an angel. And whatever directed her to do what she did that day, that was God kind of putting his hand on my back and saying, yo, I got you. Like, I know it's really uncomfortable right now. This is all part of it. But I got you. It's going to be okay.